I failed at silence for 11 years. 11 years of filling every quiet moment with noise, explanations, justifications, apologies. Anything to kill the discomfort. And every single time I did that, I made things worse. I remember the exact night it hit me. My partner, Sarah, had just said something that stopped me cold. She looked at me across the kitchen table, eyes glassy, and said, "I don't think you've ever actually heard me." I opened my mouth. I had 17 things to say, and for the first time in 11 years, I said nothing. What happened next changed the entire architecture of our relationship. But here's what nobody tells you. That's silence. It almost destroyed us first, before it saved us. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share is the exact reason therapists say couples who master this one uncomfortable skill stay together 73% longer than those who don't. Let me back up so you understand why this matters so much. Most couples, and I mean the overwhelming majority, treat silence like a fire alarm. The moment it appears, they panic. They rush to put it out. And honestly, that instinct makes complete sense. We're wired for it. Psychologists call it conversational turn-taking anxiety, the deep biological discomfort of a pause that lasts longer than roughly 4 seconds. 4 seconds. That's all it takes before your brain starts screaming that something is wrong. But here's the thing. Nobody tells you in any dating advice video, any couples retreat, any therapy session I ever attended. That panic response is destroying your relationship in slow motion. Every time you rush to fill the silence, you're communicating something devastating to your partner without realizing it. You're saying, "I don't trust what happens when we stop talking." And your partner? They feel that. Deeply. Even if they can't name it. Even if they're doing the exact same thing you are. Here's where my story gets ugly. And I'm sharing this because I want you to see yourself in it. In 2019, Sarah and I hit a wall. Not a dramatic wall. No affair. No blowout fight. Just this creeping, suffocating feeling that we were roommates who occasionally kissed. We talked constantly. Dinner conversations, check-in texts, Sunday morning catch-ups. We were communicating all the time. So why did it feel like we were drifting? I did what any reasonable person does. I doubled down. More talking, more. But here's where I almost screwed it up completely. Because that moment of silence, that breakthrough, did not fix things overnight. In fact, the following week was some of the most uncomfortable, tension-filled days we'd ever had. When you stop filling silence in a relationship that's been noise-dependent for years, something unsettling happens. All the things that were hidden under the noise, they surface. And that is terrifying. There were evenings where we'd sit together and neither of us would speak for 20, 30 minutes. And my brain was running a constant commentary. Say something. This is weird. She thinks you're angry. You're losing her. Say something. That voice is loud. It is persuasive. It sounds exactly like wisdom. But it isn't. It's fear wearing the costume of helpfulness. The couples who give up at this stage, and most do, never find out what's on the other side. They feel the discomfort. They misread it as disconnection. And they go right back to filling the void with noise. And the drift continues, quietly, invisibly, until one day someone says the words nobody saw coming. "I think I've fallen out of love with you." The turn came on a Saturday morning about 3 weeks in. Sarah and I were having coffee. No phones. That was a new rule we'd set. And for about 8 minutes, we sat together in complete silence. Not cold silence, not angry silence, just presence. And I noticed something I had never noticed before in 11 years of being with this woman. I noticed how she held her mug with both hands, even though it wasn't that cold. I noticed that her breathing had changed, slower, deeper, since we'd stopped filling every moment with words. I noticed that for the first time in months, she wasn't braced. You know that posture? The slight tension in the shoulders, the slight guardedness in the jaw, the look of someone waiting for the conversation to go sideways. It was gone. And then she looked up at me, and she said just 4 words. "I feel you again." That was it. No long speech, no breakthrough conversation. Just 4 words that came out of 8 minutes of silence that I finally didn't try to kill. That was the turn. Not a technique, not a strategy. A surrender to discomfort that created more intimacy than 3 hours of talking ever had. Here's the principle that changes everything. And this is the thing I wish someone had told me 11 years earlier. Silence in a relationship is not the absence of communication. It is communication at its most honest. When you speak, you edit. You choose words. You manage tone. You perform, even slightly, even with someone you love. It's human. You can't fully turn it off. But when you sit in silence with someone, real, intentional, non-punishing silence, you stop performing, and your nervous system starts transmitting something that words actually get in the way of. Researchers at the University of Arizona studied 373 couples over 5 years and found that couples who regularly engaged in what they called companionate silence, shared quiet time with no task or screen, reported 41% higher emotional intimacy scores than couples who didn't. 41%. Not from better arguments. Not from more vulnerable conversations. From shutting up. There are 4 types of silence in relationships, and you need to know the difference because 3 of them will hurt you and only 1 will save you. There's punitive silence, the silent treatment, weaponized withdrawal. There's avoidance silence, both of you staring at phones to dodge discomfort. There's awkward silence, the 4-second panic gap neither of you knows how to handle. And then there's what I'm calling connective silence. Intentional, mutual, present quiet that functions as a shared breathing space for your relationship. Most couples never make it to the 4th type because they can't survive the 3rd. This is not just my story. This is a pattern that plays out in thousands of relationships. The couples you look at and think, how are they still so in love after 20 years? They have usually, consciously or not, built silence into their relationship the way other couples build date nights. They have rituals of quiet. Morning coffee without phones, evening walks without agenda, drives where nobody feels pressure to perform conversation. And here's what makes this so counterintuitive. The more emotionally intense a conversation gets, the bigger the argument, the heavier the topic, the more valuable strategic silence becomes. Not silence to avoid. Not silence to punish, but the deliberate pause, the 10-second breath before you respond, the willingness to sit with what your partner just said instead of immediately defending yourself. That pause, that is where empathy actually lives, not in the perfect response you rehearse. In the moment before you respond when you actually let their words land. Every couple that builds this skill notices the same shift. Arguments get shorter, repair happens faster, and the baseline emotional safety in the relationship, that quiet confidence that we're going to be okay, gets stronger every single week. So how do you actually build this skill? Because awareness alone does nothing. Here's the exact 3-step practice that Sarah and I used, and still use today. Step 1. Start with 5 minutes. Pick 1 time per day, morning coffee, an evening wind down, any transition moment, and agree with your partner that for 5 minutes, no phones, no tasks, no agenda. You're just occupying the same space. Don't call it meditation. Don't make it precious. Just 5 minutes of shared presence. Most couples struggle with this at first. That's normal. The struggle is the point. Step 2. Practice the 10-second rule in conflict. The next time you're in a heated moment, before you respond, count to 10 internally. Not to cool down, but to actually hear what was just said. Let it settle. You'll be shocked how different your response is when it comes from a place of having genuinely received the message instead of defending against it. Step 3. Name the silence together. This sounds strange, but it works. When you notice you've been sitting in comfortable silence, say it out loud. That was nice. 2 words. It signals to your partner that the quiet was connection, not distance. It rewires the association your nervous system has built around shared silence. Now, if you want a structured way to practice all of this together, I've been recommending one specific couple. Here's the thing I want to leave you with. You're going to feel the pull to fill the next silence that shows up in your relationship. The instinct is real. The discomfort is real. But now you know something most people don't. That discomfort is not a warning signal. It's a doorway. The couples who last aren't the ones who communicate perfectly. They're the ones who have learned to trust the quiet spaces between the words as much as the words themselves. If this video changed something in how you're thinking about your relationship, share it with your partner, not as a lecture, just as a, hey, I found this interesting. Sometimes a shared video is its own kind of silence-breaking conversation starter. Drop a comment below. What type of silence shows up most in your relationship? Punitive, avoidant, awkward, or connective? I read every comment. Hit subscribe if you want more content like this. We post every Tuesday and Thursday. And I'll see you in the next one.